Morning, welcome back to the Done Deal show. Lots of transfer news to delve into this morning. Patson Daka confirmed as a done deal by Fabrizio Romano over the course of the past 4 to 5 hours. Verbal agreements in place, medicals on the way, announcements regarded as coming very, very soon. There had been some contrary reports to this over the course of the weekend from Konstantin Eckers, who claimed that the deal was far from being complete and that it was still very much an open race for the signature of Daka. But Fabrizio has come out today. He has tweeted and he has confirmed that Leicester have a verbal agreement in place with RB Salzburg to sign Patson Daka. The bid was accepted. It's done. Medicals pending. It goes on to say that this week the paperwork on contracts until 2026 will be completed to announce the new signing as soon as possible. So Patson Daka, according to Fabrizio Romano, will be a Leicester City player next year. On top of that, interesting news from another Italian football expert in relation to Hakimi. What he has claimed via a series of tweets and confirmations to people's questions, so it isn't so much a direct quote, but he has confirmed that Hakimi and Chelsea hold a verbal agreement, i.e. personal terms, and we don't need to get into the semantics of that again this week. Some journalists will take that as personal terms are fine. Some will say it's agreed. Some will say it won't be a problem. But Hakimi has agreed via, of course, his agent and intermediaries to join Chelsea Football Club. He prefers a move to the Premier League. That part, for me, is unquestionable. There are too many sources from across Europe that have confirmed that the Premier League is the place that he wants to be. Too many tier ones, too many credible experts within the regional elements of this as well. It isn't just top Chelsea journalists that are claiming this. It's coming from a breadth of knowledge across the continent. What's also then being claimed on top of this is that Chelsea will then look to finalise the deal this week. That's still where the stumbling block lies. Neither Paris Saint-Germain or Chelsea have come to an agreement with Inter as of yet. They're holding out for a deal to be worth a total of around 80 million euros. Chelsea, of course, have offered 60 million euros plus either Marcos Alonso or Zabacosta in place. Chelsea are going to look to try and finalise this deal this week, again, according to a number of sources today. But I think where Chelsea fans must remain encouraged is that Hakimi prefers the Premier League and he has that verbal agreement in place with you. However, this deal still may end up falling in Paris Saint-Germain's favour if they make the better offer. If they offer more money, if they get their bid accepted and Chelsea don't, the deal may not go through. So I think Chelsea fans just need to remain relaxed. They know where this is. The club have, of course, made 2 offers so far that haven't been accepted. Very, very normal at this point of transfers to a degree, low ball. Everybody does it. If Chelsea can save 5 million, 10 million, 15 million on this deal, of course they will. They'll try to drive the price of every transfer down. That is very, very normal indeed. But Hakimi, according to Italian football expert Akrim Kona, has a personal agreement in place with Chelsea Football Club. He prefers the Premier League. And then on top of that, in separate reports, Chelsea will look to finalise this deal this week. They're pushing hard into Inter, and they've been triggered into doing this. Chelsea are notoriously quite late bidders. But of course, you speed up your process if another club is involved. It's very, very normal in the transfer window. If you're the only team really in the running, you can take as long as you need to, really, to get the best deal possible. But the world can change overnight when another side gets involved, maybe betters your offer. They structure the deal where more money is going to be paid up front. Maybe they offer additional players that are preferred by that club. So it changes your course of action. We saw this very famously with Harry Maguire going to Manchester United. All summer, United were trying to drive the price down. Some believe they were winning that race to do it. And then out of nowhere, Man City came in and offered the full asking price, and they offered cash up front. So all that work that Man United had done had gone to waste because they only had one option. It was pay the cash up front or walk away. So they were forced into doing it. Chelsea, of course, have had their hands forced slightly by PSG, but that's just normal, no matter how good or bad you're perceived to being at transfer. So it's good positive news for Chelsea this morning in relation to that. And finally, when it comes to Raphael Varane, still such an interesting story. And I spoke to multiple journalists about this in the past couple of weeks. from Dean Jones to Christophe Terreur, and nobody's fully convinced that Raphael Varane wants to join Manchester United. But there is again another claim in the media over the last 24 hours stating that Raphael Varane's agent, now you've got to remember these agencies are based in London. CAA base is who represent and look after Raphael Varane for a lot of these commercial elements as well. They're based in London. They're going to be meeting with Manchester United this week to talk about the potential move. A lot of the reports being fed into the British press are that Raphael Varane wants to come to the Premier League. Raphael Varane likes the idea of joining Manchester United. I still have a horrible gut feeling. This is just a personal feeling about this deal, that Varane will stay at Real Madrid. They'll end up offering him a mega money deal to stay, and that could change his mind. But at this moment, his team are, of course, putting in the work to look at a move away. Now, some people are quite cynical. Some people will look at this and say he's using Manchester United, and I can understand that train of thought. He may very well be, but he's also got to get his contingency plan in place, because if Real Madrid do the unthinkable and don't offer him a deal that's adequate, he's got to go somewhere else. So his team have got to put the groundwork in now. There might be an element of, look, let's use us leaving to try and get a better deal at Real Madrid, but that's life. I had a friend who, very not famously from the public point of view, but at the company I worked at, he wanted a big pay rise and he went all in and said, if I don't get it, I'll leave. And the company called his bluff and he had to leave because this guy was very pig-headed. He's like, I'm leaving now. I've got to go find a job elsewhere. So, you know, Raphael Varane may not get what he wants out of Real Madrid and is forced to leaving. But the reports claim that this week, Raphael Varane representatives will meet in London with Manchester United to discuss a potential move. The report says that he is keen on a move to England, but I'm very skeptical about this deal, and I know a lot of people out there are. We're going to go into your comments very soon. Do me a big favor and smash that like button this morning. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you've hit the like. Make sure you're sharing this across your social media platforms. Subscribe and turn on the bell notification button. If you're watching on our Twitch account, make sure you follow it. And if you're over there watching on the Football Terrace Twitter page, please retweet, please like, and comment below as well. I want your thoughts on these transfer stories this morning. Raphael Varane wanting a move to Man United in the Premier League. Patson Daka to Leicester City, a done deal. And Hakimi agreeing verbally to join Chelsea and preferring that move to the Premier League are the big stories. And I'm sure there's going to be many twists and turns, trials and tribulations this week. Let's go into some of your comments. We have our first super chat of the day that says, with Ramos possibly going to PSG, United have a chance. I hope we get him. I do think there's a chance. I'm just not, what's the expression? I'm not counting all my chickens just yet. I'm not. I wouldn't do that. Chelsea have made inquiries into him. They would be difficult to beat away. I still think Real Madrid are going to come in and offer him the extra. You got to remember, they're only out by about £2 million a year. With Ramos leaving, there's a lot of money available. It depends who else Real Madrid want to focus their attentions on this summer. And I almost get this feeling of, I get they want to refresh their backline, but he's 28 years of age. He's got 5 years left at the top. He doesn't have a bad injury record. You know, he's fit, he's healthy. This is Raphael Varane, for me, his last big contract. So, of course, he's going to fight for the biggest one he can possible. But he has to make the right decision. And I'm not too sure if Man United is it. But he also needs to be paid by Real Madrid what he thinks he's worth. 4 times Champions League winner, World Cup winner, a leading light in a golden era for Real Madrid with the 3 Champions Leagues back to back. Of course, they've won La Ligas as well. He feels like he should be rewarded, as you know, he is a superstar of Spanish and Madrid football, and he feels that he should be adequately paid for that. So it could lead to him going if he doesn't feel that he's being respected. But there is the possibility, but it's just a deal that I can't truly believe in until, I don't know why. Raphael Varane is a collection of players in my life. Ronaldinho was one, R9, Zidane, Batistuta, Maldini, certain players, for whatever reason, I can just never imagine them wearing a kit of a Premier League team. And Raphael Varane fits into that category for me massively. Terry, can what happened in the Maguire transfer be the same for Sancho? Yeah, of course it can. If tomorrow somebody came in and offered £85 million cash for Sancho, Man United would have to respond very quickly. But until that point, there isn't the necessity. There isn't the necessity to do these things. I've said this very, very many times before. There's a lot of recycled news in relation to Jadon Sancho. And if you look at a lot of our updates in the past week or two, yes, we update in our titling with what the media have said, but listen to what's been iterated, not just by myself as a fan, but the professionals and the tier ones we've had on the show. There's nothing really to panic and worry about. The deal is being formulated. You're going to get the English press say that in the end, the deal is going to be about 80 million quid. You're going to get some of the European and German press say that it's 80 plus add-ons, and you're going to probably find that so you get one that are going to say it's 80, one are going to say it's a 90 million pound deal, and you'll probably find in the middle it's the 85 million in the middle that's been going on. But Man United are the front runners. Nobody else has made any real massive inquiries. They've not spoke to the player. Until that point, there is no need for Man United to crumble and just pay cash up front. They're going to get a good structure. They're going to get good bonus add-on clauses that mean that not all of that money is a guarantee to be paid. Why would you do that? Liverpool did an amazing job when they sold Philippe Coutinho, and Barca did a terrible one. Barcelona's clauses, it was all based on performances and number of appearances and things like that, where actually it should be connected. Dortmund are doing the right thing here. They're connecting it with Man United to like income and everything else, because Man United's income is more of a guarantee than Man United winning trophies. United are trying to push it down the lines of, winning Premier Leagues, Champions Leagues, and Ballon d'Ors, and they're silly clauses for vendors to agree to, because all those things happening simultaneously are almost impossible. So, yeah, for me, it's a real interesting one, and I think that there's nothing to panic about in relation to that deal. The same as Hakimi in Chelsea right now. Hakimi wants to go to Chelsea. Chelsea are then in the driving seat. The only thing that will hold it up, the only thing that's different, is that you've got Paris Saint-Germain making bids at the same time. So it's a two-horse race for a player. You have to behave differently. You have to act faster. Chelsea are notoriously late bidders in transfer deals. When they're the front runners for a player, they drive the price down. They did it with, even though it was a record signing, they still got around about 15 to 20 million pounds off of the initial thought asking price of Kai Havertz last year. Why? Because they dragged it on. They just got the deal done straight away. It's all right, we'll pay whatever. But that extra 20 million pound they saved is then used elsewhere in the club, contract renewals, other big name signings. But even with Chelsea's exceedingly deep pockets and their ability to break the bank for deals, you have to be frugal. I do want to speak today as well about the Patson Daka deal. Some contradictory reports from some of the world's leading journalists. You've got Konstantin Eckers, who believes that the deal isn't done, the race isn't over. You've got Fabrizio that has confirmed twice now that he believes that it is. I do want your thoughts and I do want your feelings on this as it stands right now. I really, really do want your thoughts and I want your feelings on that move. How good a player is he, or what kind of message is this sending out from Leicester City? Because, of course, Patson Daka's goal-scoring record at Salzburg has been sensational, absolutely sensational, and it's almost one after the other with them at the moment. The amount of talent that's come through Salzburg in recent years from Mane, of course, they had the brilliant Haaland, and now Daka's looking like he's on his way out as well. And if we look at this season in isolation, it's just phenomenal for his club. This season, for club and country this year, he's scored in 111% of the games he has played in. 111% of the games that he has played in, he scored a goal. It's 43 goals in 3,470 minutes that he has played. It's absolutely brilliant. And of course, Salzburg isn't of the same level as the Premier League. The Austrian League isn't of that standard. But we saw very much Haaland adapt to a higher level instantly. And if Daka goes to Leicester and he maintains 80% of his goals to game ratio, he is going to be an absolute nightmare in the Premier League. And I think it's tremendous business from Leicester City if they're able to pull this off. And I am very, very surprised to a degree that some of the other clubs haven't jumped in on this, especially the likes of Liverpool that need backup. But maybe that's to do with club situations. I've had a few people message me asking about, Man United, who they're getting rid of, Liverpool, who they're getting rid of. It's very difficult right now because a number of the players that these clubs are looking to move on are at international tournaments. Nothing's finalized. So it's very hard for Liverpool to commit to a new player when they don't quite know where 2 or 3 other individuals are going to go to. Are they going to leave? It's very difficult when you're on a budget, and everyone's on a budget, to buy. And then if you can't sell somebody, you're left with surplus players eating into the bottom line. Equally, I look at Man United's situation, and I think the 2 big exits that could happen this summer are Paul Pogba and David De Gea. They would generate a huge amount of transfer fees, plus save the club £500,000 to £600,000 a week in salary. Before they know the future of those 2 players, it would be almost irresponsible to move on Anthony Martial, to move on Matic, to move on Dean Henderson. Because if you let them go first and then De Gea and Pogba put in transfer requests and leaves, there's a lot more work for incoming transfers to make sure the squad is deep enough to start the season. So you have to hold back on a lot of exits. And I think maybe there's a number of clubs in the Premier League, not Villa and not Leicester, who are holding back on the exits of players while they're working out their strategies. And these teams are kind of sweeping in a little bit and just saying, well, we'll take it from here then. We'll put the bid in and we'll bring the player across. They're also, in my view, able to offer a route to first-team football a little bit quicker. And with the level of improvement that these clubs have shown in recent years, the money that Premier League clubs now have, you would never be able to pay someone like, in my opinion, Leicester would never be able to pay someone like Daka or someone of that ilk the kind of money that they now can 10 years ago. So they're really able to compete. And Aston Villa have done some bits so far, and they're still working hard on new deals. You've got Leicester with the Daka deal moving forward. Edouard might be going into there as well. So some really interesting pieces of business that are being done. And I think Leicester are making massive moves. Vardy, of course, coming towards the end of his career. Iheanacho, a brilliant back end of the season, but question marks still hang over him as to whether or not he can do that in 80% of a season every single year. And I think it's fair to still ask those questions, but definitely a great piece of business from Leicester's point of view, in my eyes. Let's go to some more of your comments. We have another super chat here. This is from Artem. Artem says, tired of Chelsea plastic fans crying and complaining, thinking they can just pay full price and get a player in the first 2 weeks. It's not FIFA. This is the thing with football fans. Chelsea is so brilliant in the market, not because they just pay the cash up front. In the early days, they did. It was, we want Scott Parker after 6 months good football. We'll pay whatever is required. Chelsea have become sophisticated in their activities over recent years. And it's about, we will get the best deal for our club. We will make sure we leave this as the powerhouse. Liverpool, phenomenal at it. Liverpool spent a whole summer negotiating a payment structure and driving down the price of Thiago. It was only a £20 million deal or something. And they're paying it over a 4-year period. It's tremendous business what they did. It's costing them £5 million a year for a midfielder of that ilk. It's so normal what's going on in these transfer negotiations at the moment with Hakimi, with Sancho. It staggers me, the lack of football knowledge and education from fans and everything else. If I bought a new car recently. I'm not going to tell you what the forecourt price was, but I didn't offer that. I offered a much lower price. I was prepared to pay more than I offered. And I was the only person trying to buy that particular car. But if suddenly 3 people offered the asking price for it, I can't try and negotiate the price down. It doesn't make any sense. I understand how sales work. And I saw a thing yesterday. It said Man United offered an ultimatum by Dortmund. I was like, well, you and I get offered ultimatums every single day. It's normal, right? I go into Tesco's. I want to buy a tin of baked beans. The ultimatum is you pay 49p via cash or debit card or Apple Pay, or you don't get it. Simple as that. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you take it to a more barter, you go to a marketplace and you can barter a little bit more there. So it's a little bit different. But you're bartering. If the person that owns the jacket you're trying to buy off a market stall says the lowest I'm selling it for is £50, that's your ultimatum. It's just normal, but it all gets dramatized and everybody starts to panic. It's funny to watch it sometimes as well, but there we go. Comment here from Mark that says Daka will be benched for 1 year with Leicester till Vardy gets injured or is too old. Listen, I think Daka can push himself into that first team very, very soon. Artem says, I'm a Chelsea fan, Gem, but certain fans are just sad, is what he's got to say. Ian here says, Nacho needs to play in a front two, whereas Daka can play the Vardy role, is what Ian T believes. Yeah, Gem, Artem is a Chelsea fan, bro. He's definitely a Chelsea fan. He's been around a while on the terrace. He's just basically saying some should stop moaning and understand it's a process. David here says, come on, we have plenty of non-international bums at Carrington right now. Jones, Pereira, Lingard, Mata. Yeah, no, I understand where you're coming from with that. Now, Jones is very difficult to move on because he's asking for big money. You've got Lingard, Mata, Matic. Let's speak about them for a moment. It's a very interesting point. The low work's being done to move him on. That's happening. Pereira, there's work about loans. No one's trying to buy him as it stands right now. The Lingard situation's an interesting one. United want to see where the land lies first. If you got rid of all those players and then we didn't land enough incoming targets, you're left with a thin squad. It's almost this sort of chicken or egg situation. United need to judge it carefully. The three big exits that could happen this summer of Martial, Pogba, and David De Gea. I mean, all three could still potentially leave. United have got to weigh all that up first. So they're just going to keep things on ice. They're going to spin a few plates as an example. Mata is going to stay, so take him off that list straight away. I think Jones and Pereira, the low Matic, will definitely all go this summer, whether it's on loans or whether it's sales. They will be moved out. But a couple of the players you mentioned there, who wants them? The one thing I would say, again, I'm not trying to defend Man United here. I'm just being real. If no one wants a player, how do you sell them? How do you sell them? Like, it's one of them. It's one of them for me. We're going to open up the lines now for you to have your say. We're going to share the link on StreamYard. I want to know what you're thinking and feeling about these deals. Hakimi to Chelsea. Chelsea fans, do you see this deal happening? I want people's thoughts on the Raphael Varane situation. Do you have a sense that he could be on his way to Manchester United of the Premier League? And on Patson Daka, I'd love to hear from some Leicester City fans. I'd love to hear from you on this. How encouraged are you by this deal? But do me a big favor. Let's get this past 500 likes while we're live on the air, please. Hit that like button for us right now. Make sure you're subscribing and turning on bell notifications. I'm going to share the link. I need to do this. Sometimes I do this ahead of time. Other times, not so much. Call in now. That's been done. So if you're on our Discord server, you'll be able to go over there now and get that link. That's been published in the StreamYard call-in section. So go and get that done. I'm also going to post it in the comment section on here, just in case you don't use Discord. It's on the YouTube channel if you want to phone in. Micah here with a super chat says, have to say, bro, this channel is the best on YouTube. I'll keep on sending elite level super chats. By the way, when our fan shows returning. When you say fan shows, what do you mean? I'm a bit confused. I don't know what you mean by fan shows. You mean sort of like Fan Park Live stuff? That will be next season. But thank you for the compliment and thank you for the super chat. It means a great deal to us here at the Terrace. It really, really does. I see the callers coming in now, getting ready to have their say. Terry, what companies hold over 100 million of dead stock? Well, I'm not too sure about the price, but if a supermarket, let's just say a department store buys a line of clothing that costs them hundreds of thousands, millions of pounds, and nobody buys it, they can't sell it. Eventually, they give it away. From Man United's point of view, you don't really want to do that because you're burnt. You can't just give away. You have to pay it off. So, you know, at the end of the day, that happens a lot. Even successful businesses will design something, try and sell something, they'll buy something and not be able to move it on. It's the same thing when it comes to the asset of a player that nobody wants. And that's something the club, you know, needs to fix up on. You know, it's, you know, we've done it better in the last 2 years, but the use of the loan market has been terrible. How maybe 2 or 3 years ago, we should have got someone like, you know, Phil Jones out on loan. And the hope is they do a bit of a Chris Smalling. And they go away on loan and they impress, and then that club wants to buy them and you move them on quickly. We tried it with Pereira, it hasn't worked. Like, they're not desperate to sign him because he didn't have a barnstorming season. You look at the Lingard situation, though. And he's probably raised his valuation by 15 million quid. We definitely need more of that at Manchester United. We're going to start delving into calls, as I said a little bit earlier. First on the show today, we're going to get Jem on with us. The Hakimi deal, it seems like it's closing in. Jem, give us your thoughts and feelings, mate.
I'm a little bit lost with it because I feel like it's like one story and then the next day it's another story. I've also heard apparently they're now saying that they want the full 80 million. They're not accepting any players. That they want the cash up in front from Chelsea or PSG. I'm still very skeptical of it. Like I said, until I see him holding that Chelsea shirt, I'm not really getting too excited with the whole thing. You know
and I get not being excited, and I think for me that's a sensible approach with transfers. The player swap deal. I mean, I must have said this in the first time you guys bid. Player swap deals are as rare as rocking horse shit. They rarely happen. Just from a legal standpoint, writing up a contract that improves player swaps is very, very difficult. You then have to get Zabacosta and/or Marcos Alonso to agree to the deal, agree to the terms and everything, and squad status at that club as well. And maybe they turn around to Alonso and say, "Oh, we see you as rotation." I don't know what they're going to say, but let's just say they say, "Look, we see you as rotation." He might say, "No, my agent has told me about these two other clubs that want me, that they want me in their first team, so I don't want to go to you." That scarpers the whole deal. It generally is easy to offer cash, and I think Chelsea can get there. It just depends. You also have to look at it from how highly you rate him. So if they're asking for 80 million euros, the Chelsea board just might say, we don't see him as genuinely being worth above 60, and then you walk away from it. And then it doesn't matter that you have a verbal agreement in place with him. It's about striking that deal. PSG might end up offering 20, 30 million euros more than you think he's worth. That's just life, bruv. And
it also depends on how much Chelsea have got to spend as well this summer, because if they're looking to spend, I don't know, 200 mil in total, then they can't bid 80 mil for Hakimi when they're trying to, for example, buy Haaland for 150. So they're going to have limitations to what they can spend for certain individuals. So people need to understand Chelsea won't always just spend money, you know what I mean, and pay the full amount.
Of course they won't. And on top of that, it's a great point. On top of that, what's also important to remember is Inter Milan are going to try and drive the price up because they know you're thinking about bidding world record fees for Haaland or Kane's. They know this already. You've also inquired about Lukaku, and they know how much you'll pay for him. So this is what Inter Milan will do, although they're in financial difficulties themselves, is say, well, hang on a minute, you want Lukaku and you want Haaland. Well, we rate Hakimi in his role being the same standard. Like that's how they'll spin it.
I get that.
And so that's what makes these transfer situations harder. And also the money for those players, so you've got the money for Hakimi, and that's also why I said before, me and you did that live stream together in Stratford. Roman and Chelsea need to be very, very mindful about a Harry Kane or a Haaland deal, because it breaks the barometer. It changes the valuation of nearly every single player in the world, because the levels just go up. And every time a new record is set for a player, the bar gets moved. When Man City started spending 50 millions on fullbacks, all top fullbacks suddenly became premium real estate, essentially. And, you know, if the DM is the next one, if West Ham get themselves 70, 80, 90 million for Declan Rice, every single top level high rated DM is going to suddenly increase it. Remember,
but then again, it don't make no sense, does it? It doesn't make no sense for us to go for Declan Rice if we're not going to spend money like we are for Hakimi, does it? Do you know what I mean?
Financially, it may not. But in terms of market forces, it does. And as soon as one of these deals goes through for a player of a certain level that's huge money, it has a knock-on effect. And this is why. And in the current climate we're in, where clubs have less money, everybody's holding back from trying to do one of these gargantuan deals, because it means they're going to pay more later down the line for other players.
No, I get that.
It's an interesting one. But in terms of Hakimi, the player, you know, where do you see him where do you see him fitting into the Chelsea setup?
Easy. He starts for me. He plays right wing back. For me, he's top 3 in the world in his position. Maybe top 2, to be honest. There's no one better than him in that position, moving forward with the ball, especially on the counters. Very, very good with the ball at his feet. His assist levels are very good, but he's also scored 7 goals for Inter, which, if I believe, Jorginho was our top goal scorer with 7. So he's already on the same level as our top goal scorer from last season in terms of goals scored. I mean, he's definitely. I mean, in terms of face value, he's definitely worth the money. And I've been watching him. We sort of on off across Dortmund to Inter Milan. I'm thinking to myself, if there's an opportunity to improve and buy the best in that position and they're available, then go and do it for the future, because people like Aspie are not going to be around for long. Do you know what I mean? And being able to bring him in, have Reece James as well. It's exciting times for us, to be honest. But I did want to talk about Varane as well quickly.
Go on.
In terms of the Varane situation, I'm very sceptical of him even just leaving Real Madrid. I don't see how they've got rid of Ramos, who was their main starter. They then get rid of Varane. All right, they'll have the funds from these sales, but they're not. It's not like they're looking to spend money at the moment. Real Madrid are financially not looking to spend anything. So to lose 2 defenders of that caliber, bear in mind Varane is an elite defender as well. You're going to put him in the same levels as the Virgil van Dijks, etc., as people were talking about. There's not many other elite defenders, and I'm talking about the levels of defenders out there for them to go and bring in with that money. Unless they're going to go and start with someone like a Koundé and sort of look to build for the future, I don't see why they would sell Varane and Ramos in one window. It don't make no sense. Do you know what I mean? In that sense, from a Madrid point, I'm thinking of a Madrid aspect.
I agree. I can't imagine them not offering him the deal that he wants, and it's why every single journalist we've had on this show, when it's come to the Varane conversation, have all said they see him staying, and that's more of a. There is no. The noise coming out of the Varane camp is that he wants to leave. He wants to try something new. They're not respecting him. They're not offering him the right amount of money. But that's normally what's said until the big money comes in, and then they say, we love it here, it's great. And we saw, it's like I saw an article yesterday about Tottenham point blank saying we're not getting rid of no quote from them, but there's no sale of Harry Kane. That's normally the kind of article that drops before a big money bid goes in from a club. And I think Man City will make that big money bid at some point. And it's just, then we really see it. And if Man United sit down with the agents this week and put a big offer on the table to say, we want to sign you, then it becomes a little more serious. I think the problem that Man United have got, I know Chelsea have inquired about him, is very much that no one really knows if he wants to leave Real Madrid. Yeah, so I think this week, sitting down with the representatives from CAA base, who are the agency and firm that represent him, I think we'll make people very aware of what's going on. Listen, Jem, great call as ever, mate.
Cheers,
great mate. Speak to you again soon. Top man. Thank you. We've got a super chat from Shane here that says, morning, Terry. Don't get to watch too much anymore. Still hit the like button on all the vids, though. Just a wee super chat to support the channel. Thank you very much, Shane. I get that. And of course, the world is changing. People are going back to work. It's and everything else. Plus, it's summer. There's been another update this morning. Now, this is such an interesting one for me. So, Patrick Berger, who is a German, journalist, very, very close to the likes of very close to Bayern Munich, very, very close to I think Schalke as a football club and a few others. So he's very, very well informed. It's kind of interesting. Like this guy's updates on Jadon Sancho are so up and down. It's mad. He said only a couple of days ago, he said, I have to correct my words. Reports from today are true. Dortmund have received a new improved offer. It goes, it's still not satisfactory. Dortmund, they think that Man United don't know how good Sancho is. That caused outrage a couple of days ago. There is now a quote from him this morning that he's given with an interview with Sport 1 that he says that Sancho to Man United, he goes, I'm confident the deal will happen. All parties are talking and are solution focused. Let's see, but we have to wait. But I am confident. So in the space of 2 days, he's gone from saying, I don't think Manchester United know how good. Dortmund don't think Man United really rate Sancho to we're really confident it's going to go through. As I keep saying, this is what you're going to keep getting with this Sancho deal until the final part of negotiation is complete. It's good and it's bad and it's good and it's bad. It's just where it is. And United are working on the final clause, the final piece of structuring. Some outlets are saying that a new bid was submitted last week. Others are saying it isn't. For me, it's in a very, very good space. And it's the volume of reports on it that are probably taken, and it's more the PR, not the reports, that are probably making people feel a little bit like jaded with it. And on top of that, you will probably start to see some negative reports about Sancho come from the continent very soon as well. Just be mindful that they're on their way, because these things stereotypically happen at this point. Someone here says, not Sancho news again. We're not focusing on Sancho today, but a lot of people had some comments, and I've had about 5 DMs going, have you read this? It's like, yeah, but as I said before, nothing has changed. The negotiations are just going on. There is nothing new to report on Jadon Sancho. Everyone just stay relaxed with it. Next on the show, we're going to go to Darren to have his say with us this morning. Darren, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, what's good, man? I'm doing fine.
I'm good. I'm good. What are you here to talk about? Which of these 3 deals are you here to speak about, Darren?
Yeah, probably the Hakimi deal. Just sort of following in from what Jen was talking about as well. I think for this whole situation, like you said, with these negotiations, we as spectators will never really know until the deal is done. And I think in general with Hakimi, the one club that is just laughing is going to be Inter Milan. Because the fact that both PSG and Chelsea are looking in at this guy, they can do the whole dictate the price situation. With Lukaku, I don't think, well, I guess they said he's not going to sell, but it was only really Chelsea that were in for him hard. So it's like we can just decide, okay, we're not going to look at you then. And then we'll look at our other striking options. With Hakimi, the reason why Chelsea can't do that as comfortably, like we're saying, is because PSG are there sort of saying, well, they've put in the bid as well. And that's forced us to match the bid and do all of these sort of negotiations. So I think, like Jem was saying with the prices, to spend that, going over 60, 70, 80 around there on just Hakimi, Chelsea, from what I recall with our buying, we're not keen on breaking our transfer records like that. The only signing which I reckon that we sort of overpaid was Kepa, and that was only because Courtois put us in a sticky situation. Other than that, obviously we've spent on Morata and top sort of signings here and there. Havertz, which makes sense because he's a young, up and coming youngster talent. The rest of them, I really don't see us really keen. And I know people make it out that yes, we do spend money, but if you look at individual signings, we don't really we don't just give the other club, here you go, have 100 mil, have 90 mil, have, we don't really break the bank like that. So,
well, but and that's it, bro. And you don't, and it's because you're sensible and because you operate in the right way as a football club. You don't just throw. You used to in the early days, but that's because you were playing catch up to some of the teams that were ahead of you in certain regards across Europe. But you've caught up and you've leveled out, and there is just no need at all for Chelsea to do that. And it's also PR is also a big part in this as well. Clubs like to look great. So you're doing this Hakimi deal right now, and then what we saw yesterday was news about Amad Traore come out. Yeah. So if Chelsea get the feeling that he's going to go to PSG because PSG are going to offer more money, they'll keep their hand in that deal, but they'll start to push the Amad Traore one a little bit more. Then you'll see news come out, and it will just be along the lines of Chelsea are now more interested in this player. You'll see it spun, rightly or wrongly, as Traore was always the preferred choice. But you went for Hakimi first. Yes, we did, because initially Wolves told us that it wasn't happening, and then their minds changed, so we went back in. It will just be spun in that way. If Chelsea get into a very public, record-breaking bidding war with PSG, and then it doesn't work out, it doesn't look good. And whether we like it or not, how clubs look is very, very important to them in this modern-day world that we look in as well. But what I would say to Chelsea fans is this: your club isn't stupid. Your club knows exactly what they're doing in the transfer window. And I would just be very, very relaxed. You're going to make some great signings this summer. You're going to spend money this summer, and you're going to do good deals within it. You're going to get good prices, good payment structures, and you're going to improve the squad massively, no doubt. Darren, top man, thanks for coming on and having your say, mate. Really appreciate it. Next on the show, we're going to have Fixer to have his say. You can call in yourself. Do me a big, big favor and smash that like button, please, ladies and gentlemen. Share this stream across your social media platforms as well. And make sure you're subscribed to the Football Terrace. Dembele done out of the Euros. Yeah, we tweeted about that a little bit earlier on, JJ. When the news was revealed, that Ousmane Dembele, it's funny, the amount of times I get people say to me every year, would you take Ousmane Dembele at Man United? The answer is always no. It's always for that same reason. Injury-prone players are injury-prone players are injury-prone players, and it doesn't matter how good his talent is if he's always one sprint away from missing months of football. I feel really sorry for him because he is exceedingly talented, but at the end of the day, his body's made of biscuits. His body is made of biscuits, and can't get away from that. As an update for everyone who's just tuned in, because I know a lot of you have tuned in since we went live. So the big stories this morning, first and foremost, Hakimi and Chelsea hold a verbal agreement, i.e. personal terms, whether you think or interpret that as done, agreed, or being no problem, but it's in place. Hakimi has got a verbal agreement to join Chelsea, and he prefers the Premier League. That has been confirmed by Ekrem Connor, who is a Turkish Italian-based football expert, focuses heavily on a lot of the Italian teams, very well connected in Italy. He confirmed that yesterday afternoon that is in place. However, no deal has been struck for either Paris Saint-Germain or Chelsea with Inter. Negotiations continue. Chelsea will look to try and finalize a deal this week. They've offered currently around 60 million euros plus a player. There are mooted reports coming out that Inter just want 80 million euros cash for the player. Of course, probably structured. They don't have to pay it all in one lump sum. They do installments themselves. But Hakimi to Chelsea, there is a personal terms in place. Fabrizio Romano today has confirmed that Patson Daka to Leicester City is a done deal. Medicals booked in and pending. Announcement on the way. Terms agreed. Contract until 2026, all in place. And he will be a Leicester City player, according to Fabrizio Romano. A few other tier one journalists have said that the race isn't over yet. I don't quite know how to read into that. I have a lot of faith, like most of you do, in Fabrizio Romano's information. But as it stands right now, according to Fabrizio Romano, he is going to be a Leicester City player. And on top of that, the Mirror have reported that Raphael Varane wants to leave Real Madrid. He will reject a new offer. He wants to come and play in the Premier League. We know Paris Saint-Germain are interested in him, but it's reported that this week, the representatives of Raphael Varane, CAA base, who have an office in London, will be meeting with Manchester United to look at the structure and status of a potential deal to bring the 4 times Champions League and World Cup winner to Manchester United. We want your thoughts. We want your feelings. Make sure you're smashing that like button for us right now. Next caller on the show is going to be Fixer. Welcome back to the terrace, mate. What do you want to say?
Oh yeah, hi. Yeah, basically, what I gonna talk about was the Varane situation. I think that is like a ready-made defender, world-class defender, just there for us to just snap up. I don't know why the deal isn't like progressing as quick as I would think it would be, because Varane is a player that United have been chasing for a very long time, even while Fergie was here. So, but the only thing I would say is the whole Sergio Ramos thing kind of makes it a bit sticky, because I don't think Real Madrid are gonna be like that willing to lose both players in the same window. I don't think it's gonna be a deal breaker. I think it's up to what Varane wants to do. Basically, does he want to come to United? Is he does he feel he can make a difference? I mean, another thing I want to think about is, because of the situation United are in now, I'm very skeptical of the motivation for players to come to United. Like, why are they coming? Do they believe that they're going to win things here? Really, do they really genuinely believe that, or are they just coming for the paycheck? And that's something that United needs to like look at as well in regards to Varane, Sancho, and anybody we're signing, because the players we have now, even in the club, don't turn up when it comes to winning trophies. They play well throughout the whole season and whatever, but when it comes to the crunch time to win a trophy, they usually flop. So I don't know if any player coming to United has that real motivation within them, that real belief that they're going to win something at United. So that's something we need to look at as well. I don't know.
Do you know what? I think the Raphael Varane deal is an interesting one. So why hasn't it progressed? You listen to the experts, because nobody, including Man United and Chelsea and Real Madrid, no one really knows what he wants. Nobody is. If you look at the reports, 1 minute it's the Prem, the next minute he wants to live back in France, the next minute he's angling for a new deal. The reports are very, very varied depending on who you trust and what you listen to. So I completely understand why people are like, that's why Man United are meeting him. Varane, because he's got 1 year left on his contract, it suddenly becomes a deal that's very gettable for Man United financially. Because although Madrid is saying they want 80 odd million, they're never getting 80 odd million for a player with 1 year left on his deal who's 28. It just isn't happening like that. Yeah, if United can pick him up between 40 and 50 million, which is the most common quoted price that people think they'll get, you got to think Ben White is going for £50 million. You can pick up Raphael Varane for the same. United need winners, but winners are very expensive. If you were to sign Raphael Varane 2 years ago with 3 years left on his contract, he's costing you £100 million or so. We might be able to get him very, very cheap. So I agree with you that it should be a deal we're looking to get done. The problem you have is that you don't want to go too far down the line. So we have to be very sensible in this. And the conversations that are held this week will highlight this. I don't want us to go all in and chase if he doesn't 110% want to join us. And this is where our negotiators and our transfer team make their money more than anything else. They have to listen to what's being said and be able to read the situation, because I've been that way in my own professional life, where I sat down with a bank once that were looking at my company to come in and do some work for them. And I felt the whole time they were using us. In the first 2 meetings we had, I fed into my bosses and said, I think they're using us as a measuring stick. They don't want to use us, they want to use one of our competitors, but they're almost using us to make sure that our competitors are offering them the right thing. They're using us as a yardstick. So we kind of walked away from that deal, and it turned out we were absolutely spot on. And that's where you have to United have to decide, and Chelsea have to decide, does Varane really want to leave? Does he really want to come to us? Because what's more embarrassing is spending 6 to 8 weeks chasing this deal just for him then to sign a new deal at the end of it. That would be the embarrassing point. So we need to be very, very careful. And if we think he just isn't that interested, then we need to walk away instantly and look at somebody else. And I know fans don't want to hear that, but that's why the likes of Man City and Liverpool and Chelsea are so respected in the transfer market. They don't have the piss taken out of them. And that's where Manchester United need to get to. We have been everybody's lackeys for so long. It's, for me, as a club, it's more important that we regain our respect. And walking away, we did it with Dybala. Dybala's team was showing no real interest in what Man United were trying to achieve. It was, how much are you paying us? What are the?
Should we do it with Sancho though?
Sorry?
Should we do it with Sancho then? Walk away.
Why Sancho? Sancho isn't the one who's being difficult here. Sancho wants to join. It's the club that are being the problem.
Yeah, Sancho, but that's what we're doing business with, the club. I mean, I'm not saying we should, but like I'm just saying in regards to what you said.
Why?
I'm saying do you think we should apply that same?
Ask a question. Why do you see them two things as the same thing?
Because you're saying that we should be able to like walk away from a deal that for some reason isn't like planning out as it should or as smoothly as it should, right? That's kind of what you're saying, isn't it?
No, I'm saying that if Dortmund had no intention of selling and they were just stringing us along, then you walk away. But they want to sell. Sancho wants to join us. I'm saying you walk away from the Varane deal if he doesn't have any real intention of joining us. I think those two things are night and day. That's where Man United need to be sensible in terms of their business. But Sancho wants to join, Dortmund want to sell him. You negotiate that. You invest the time in getting that deal done. But if Varane is just using Man United and Chelsea to get a better deal from PSG or to get a better offer from Real Madrid, we're better off walking away very quickly, releasing statements into tier ones to say, we have no interest in signing the player because of X, Y, and Z reason. And if he then changes his mind because he doesn't get what he wants from Real Madrid, then we can say, well, now the player's shown genuine interest in us, so we're interested. It's a show of strength. That's my view on it anyway, bro. That's my view. Listen, Fixer, great call though, mate. Great points being made. Top man. Thank you. Ginger Fury, if you're watching, by the way, I've just had an email come through from my team at Snack, and I've been sent a picture. Not that I'm going to share it on the screen. Your shirt has arrived. And also, D1, your shirt is out for delivery today as well. So your shirts you won for your competition last month are out. Remember, we are running a competition this month. We don't announce it on every single show. But if you want to send in on shows like this, the best question posed via a super chat, your name goes into the hat to win a football shirt of your choice at the end of the month. D1 and Ginger Fury won that in May. Your shirts are being delivered today to your addresses. So Ginger Fury, go check your front door. It's literally, I'm looking at the picture now. It's in your letterbox, bruv. It's in your letterbox, so go check it out. John Green here says Bayern Munich won't go under 95 million euros. City rode 18%. Yeah, I don't believe that. I believe that as well. And you got to remember, 98 million euros is about 81 to 82 million pounds. That's cool. That's about right. Man, I think the deal is going to be about 85 million pounds in total. I've said that for about how long? 6 months. I've always felt that. I've always felt it. The price, in my opinion, isn't being debated. It's structure. But do you know why that doesn't get discussed by a lot of the tabloid media? It's boring. No one really cares. They just want to, oh, it's good. Is it bad? Is it on? Is it off? No, it's just they're discussing like intricate financial measures that are really boring. That's all it comes down to. Nana says Daka and Iheanacho. He said that could be a great combination. Man like Shane here again says the Varane deal is a very hard deal to get across the line. If United can pull it off, I will have to take my hat off to the board. Do you know what, mate? It's not even about the board for me. For me, it would be Myrtle and Fletcher. And I'm looking at the way we operate this summer. Are things different? And you know, I keep reiterating this. Show me somewhere where you're seeing Woodward's name. The last 2-3 summers, every story involves Woodward. His name isn't being mentioned. Myrtle and Fletcher have respect in the industry, in my opinion, where Woodward didn't. Next caller on the show is going to be a man like Abs, Chelsea fan in the house. What you saying, bro?
Oh, this whole thing about Hakimi, I'm seeing loads of people online, talking about, oh, no, we shouldn't get him, we don't need him. And to an extent, they're right, because it would worry me if we only signed Hakimi but didn't really get the areas of use. So, for example, we need a striker, we need a defensive midfielder, we need a centre-back. Unfortunately, if we go and get Hakimi and not them, then I can understand their frustration. But in terms of just all-round for the squad, it's very good. Because if you deep it for a minute, right, look at Man City. They've got Walker and Cancelo at right back, who are easily two of the best right backs in the Prem. And because they're so good, because they've got so much...
Mate, I've got a real problem with your mic. I don't know what you're doing. Maybe your hand's running over it. I can't... Something's like crackling and you keep coming in and out of sound. I don't know I don't know what was different about your setup to normal. Yeah, now I can't hear you at all.
I'll be back.
Yeah, do you know? Yeah, cool. I think, yeah, go on, mate. I think what he's doing is holding his laptop and the mic's built into the laptop and he's running his hands over the mic. That's what I think. Michael here says the Sancho saga is like Gillette, closer every year. I like that. But it just is what it is. It is what it is. These deals do what they do. We're going to share the link again for you to call in and have your say. If you want to speak about the Hakimi deal, the Varane deal, any Leicester fans want to speak about Patson Daka, give us a buzz now. We want to hear from you. Haaland needs to happen for Chelsea to be title contenders. That's an interesting take. That's an interesting take. It truly is. Let's see a few more of these comments. Where are my members at today? I ain't seen as many member comments as we normally have coming through. Yes, we are going to have some Arsenal news for you. So I will be after Belgium play today, and I need to check what time are Belgium playing today. Are they the 8 o'clock game? Yes. So after Belgium's game tonight, we have another highly credible Belgian journalist coming onto the football terrace. He will be talking about the game, but he's also going to be talking to us about the Lokonga situation, and we're also going to be talking about the Tielemans situation as well. So he will be on the football terrace around 10 o'clock tonight. We also, of course, have Dean Jones on for the Done Deal show tomorrow. Arsenal are going to feature heavily in that. Declan Rice news coming tomorrow as well. So all this is going to be exclusive to the football terrace, and make sure you stay tuned in with us. That's why bell notifications are important. Make sure you're hitting that like and that share button, people, as well. Let's go to some more calls are coming through here. Get your super chat questions in as well. Any questions you want to ask me, get those super chats in, and the best ones go into the prize draw to win a shirt of your choice at the end of the month. CJ here says the Chelsea Haaland news is gone quiet. Usually good news. There's nothing to update on. Chelsea just need to decide whether they want to put the bid in or not. But there also is no rush. There is no rush to get the deal done right now. So why would they? Why would they do that? Just Looking says, we're here. Nice one, bro. It's nice to hear from you. It's nice to know that you guys are there. Thank you very much, my G. Abs is back with us now. Is that that might be working better?
Yeah, I put on my phone instead, so hopefully it works.
That's
Can you hear me?
perfect. Yes, mate. Perfect.
All right, say no more. So obviously, first and foremost, happy Father's Day. It's a bit late now, but happy Father's Day to all the fathers celebrate out there. And you see what it is with Hakimi, what I was trying to say earlier is that obviously what it is with him is that it's a good signing in isolation. And of course, it's not the main targets in terms of we need a striker, defensive mid, and a centre back, but it's still a good signing retrospectively altogether. Because if you deep it, right, look at Manchester City, for example. They've got Cancelo and Walker, who are two of the best right backs in the Premier League. And what happens is because at any certain point in the season, they're both performing very well. It could either be that they rotate them out, or what they could do is they could move Cancelo to left back when, for instance, Mendy or Zinchenko are performing as well. And look, they still do a good job. So this whole thing about Hakimi not being a good signing is a lot of nonsense, to be honest. I personally think he'd be a fantastic signing. He'd bring in lots of depth to the team. He'd give us a different dynamic because Reece James, for me, is a bit more complete in terms of defending and attacking. But on the ball, I don't think Reece James can really talk to Hakimi. But I understand where people do get wound up in terms of the fact that we should really be going for a striker. And the only clever thing I'd say about it is if you think about it, Inter, they need to sell because they're in debt. But we're going for Hakimi, and he's not the player we necessarily need as much as Lukaku, for example. So it could end up being a case of Hakimi, it could either be we do want Hakimi, or it's being used as a smokescreen to rather try and get Inter to lower the price for Lukaku, because it could be that neither PSG or Chelsea got Hakimi, and we may end up getting Lukaku at a lower price. So either way, it's good business, and I'm just happy with what the moves that my club's making right now.
Yeah, listen, I totally get where you're coming from, and some will disagree about Hakimi and his ability over Reece James. I just think what Chelsea are so phenomenal at, generally speaking, is they continually look to improve their team. They don't want to let it go stale. They want to keep moving forward, and that's what you need to do. And I do think as well when it comes to transfers, there's a little bit here of chicken going on between multiple clubs. Who's going to sign the first big deal? I would ring fence Sancho from that because it's been going on for 2 summers. But it's this element of if you don't sign Lukaku or Haaland, you may find that City don't go mad and sign a top striker themselves. But if City put a bid in tomorrow for Harry Kane, 120 million, it's accepted, watch Chelsea respond almost instantly with, right, we need to move now. But both clubs might just decide they sit on it for another year and see how the land lies next summer if both decide not to go for it. So yeah, there's a lot going on, and I wouldn't be concerned as a Chelsea fan right now. Abs, great call, mate. Thanks for coming back on and having your say. Really appreciate it. Thank you. One of our members here, Akodi says, do you think the signing of Varane and Sancho and renewing Pogba's contract would be a good summer? Yeah, it'd be a very good summer. It'd be a very, very good summer. I still think more's needed. I still think we need more in midfield. I still think we need fullback cover. And it depends who else leaves. I'd love to see a few more of the Deadwood players go. But with Pogba renewing, Sancho giving balance on the right, and a world-class centre-back coming in, of course, yeah, for me, it can be nothing but good. Could we get even better if we then went and signed a star midfielder? Yeah. Maybe if we picked up a Sal Niguez in there, maybe if we picked up a Declan Rice in there and improve what we have, then yeah, brilliant. Absolutely. I would have no issues with that whatsoever. Just looking through some more of these comments here. Twisted Bubba says, Terry, can you explain how Chelsea are a well-run club? What has Roman financially yielded from his investment into Chelsea? He's not looking for financial reward. He's not looking to yield a return from his 3, 4, 5 billion pound of investment in terms of everything he's pumped into the football club. I don't know the exact amount. It's billions though. He's not looking to yield a return. How they're a well-run club, and well-run clubs make mistakes. Well-run clubs sign the wrong players, appoint the wrong managers, sack people too prematurely. They make mistakes on an administrative level, a legal level. They make the wrong morality calls at times. No, there's no such thing as a club being run to perfection. 10 out of 10 in every decision in every walk of life. Impossible. But they are a well-run football club overall. And the yield is simple. It's the 5 Premier Leagues. It's the 4 or 5 FA Cups, the 3 League Cups, the 2 Europa Leagues, and of course the 2 Champions Leagues across all competition, domestic and European. Since Roman's been in charge, you're hard pushed to find a better team in the Prem than Chelsea. Yes, some teams have won more league titles. Some teams have won more FA Cups. Some teams have won more League Cups. Nobody has won more European trophies in that time period than them. In that time period, Liverpool have 2, which is brilliant, but only 1 league title. No real domestic trophies in that time, really. A few FA Cups and League Cups, I think. A couple, if I'm not mistaken. Man United, good amount of league titles, 1 European trophy. City, more league titles, more domestic trophies, no European success. That's the yield that Roman looks for. Roman looks to be successful. And maybe things went a little bit stale a couple of years ago and the club lost its way a little bit, but they're backfiring now. So, yeah, Twisted, that's why they're a well-run club. All the little intricate things they do, we're not privy to all of that. But their overarching view in every decision they make is what will make us the best footballing team possible. The sponsorship deals they do, the academy they build, it's tapered. Everything it's essentially like shit flows down and money flows up. And everything they do is pinpointed to making them the best football team on the field of play they can. All the other shit, get out of the way. We just filter that down to the bottom. Push them. Everything we generate financially is to make the first team the best it can be and win the major trophies. Everything is pinpointed to try and make Chelsea the best club in England. That is what I would say about that, my friend. Just Looking says that's a fact. We have, and no, he was saying trying to build a stadium. That's why he stopped spending for a few years. Yeah, and maybe there's that. And listen, it's very hard for Chelsea to build a new stadium because of where they are based in London. There's very little areas of real estate and land that would enable them to do it. There was the Battersea Power Station thing. I'm not too sure what's happening with it. It's not an area of Chelsea sort of club goings on that I really focus on. You definitely can't build where they are in Chelsea, as far as I'm aware. But yeah, look, it's a very, very well-run football club. And like I said before, all well-run. What always makes me laugh when you say a club's well-run is they point out things that have gone wrong. No one says they're impervious to mistakes. But overall, the well-run club, for me, Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund, Chelsea, whoever they are, Leicester, Bournemouth, they're very well-run football clubs. And they have an end goal. And some of their end goals are to be domestic and European champions as regularly as possible. That's their end goal. Some it's, do you know what? It's to make it into top 4 or equivalent of, challenge for domestic trophies and sustain a certain amount of income to keep the club afloat. Others, it's Premier League. Getting into the Premier League is the Champions League for that size of football club. So it's relative depending on who the size and the finances at the club. But you can tell a well-run club a mile away. You just can. Leicester, Chelsea, Man City, Bournemouth in recent years, like Brighton, exceptionally well-run football club. Exceptionally well-run. There we go. I hope that answered your question, but thank you for the super chat, Mug. That's a great question. Best question of the day so far, to be fair. So maybe your name's going into that pot, Twisted Bubba. Right, next caller on the show is going to be Matt. Matt is a Man United fan. What are you saying, buddy?
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm very, very well. What's your take on Raphael Varane's agents meeting with Man United this week?
It was a good start. Again, it's a difficult deal to do. I mean, for the top quality centre back like he is, he automatically goes and improves Man United by far. I think you worry that if United sign any other centre back other than him, Lindelof still gets picked first because of the experience, and he communicates well with Solskjaer. And you can always imagine that he remains in that pairing because it's worked for 2 years, and obviously we all know it doesn't really work. But with Varane, he comes in, he immediately goes into that lineup. He demands respect from everybody in the club because of what he's won and what he's achieved. So again, difficult deal to do, especially for a winner of his quality. It's just, if United get it done, hats off to people involved with the transfer of Mercer and Fletcher.
Yeah, no, absolutely, mate. I think it would be as you say, from that point of view, it would be a tremendous, tremendous piece of business. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. It'd be a tremendous piece of business to to get that done. It'd be a huge deal. There's no doubt about it whatsoever.
And also, I think United are looking to save money as well. I'm just reading on MEN and BBC about Diogo Dalot, and about basically saying that Ollie really likes him. He wants him to stay. They're rejecting loan offers from AC Milan because it's well, in BBC they're reporting it because there's not an obligation to buy in it. So I think they're probably willing to sell Dalot for the right money, sort of thing. But if not, they want to keep him for a cover right back, which perhaps is the way forward. If you know, same sort of thing with Eric Bailly, keep him along so you've got someone for cover.
Yeah, potentially. And it's like I said earlier, a lot of people are kind of, I'm not saying panicking, but I think a lot of people are kind of pushing on this thing of like, oh, you know what, who are we selling? Who's coming in? It's all a bit up in the air. We're looking at Kieran Trippier. If we can't there's no point allowing Dalot to leave, as an example, without knowing what's going on with Kieran Trippier. Because if you let Dalot, if we sell Dalot, we send Ethan Laird out on loan, and then we don't land Trippier or an alternative, you're left short. You have to be mindful, and it's getting your ducks in a row. And there's no point allowing too many players to leave before we know exactly who is coming in. And it's hard to know who's coming in right now because all deals are difficult because of the volume of international tournaments. And even
I
players
think we made that mistake in January as well, didn't we? When we sold Fosu Mensah, I know he's had a horrific injury since then, but we didn't necessarily have anybody ready to come in at cover. I think we were looking at Kieran Trippier in January, but with his ban, they said, no, let's not bother. But we didn't sort anybody out as cover, which then left it onto Brandon Williams, who can play right back, but he still needs regular game time, maybe a championship club just to tick him on, because he's not developed in the same way that we saw in the first year when we first saw him come in at left back.
Yeah, no, mate, I completely and utterly agree. And it's just, people have just got to be a little patient. I understand why people are not. I was talking to Johnny yesterday on over the weekend on Twitter, and I understand why that frustration is there because of years of things being done incorrectly. But there is this element of me that said, okay, like I try and look at it from as if it was me. So say I'm doing something wrong and everybody gives me feedback. We don't want you to operate like X. We want you to operate like Y. You then got to give me time to master operating like Y without having a pop at me every 5 minutes. Did you get where I'm coming from? It's almost like, we're trying to operate. We're trying to, and I get people are skeptical. I totally get people are skeptical. Let's see what happens. Let's judge after the fact rather than before the fact, and see how things feel. That's my approach towards this anyway.
Yeah,
listen,
absolutely.
Great call, mate. Thank you very much.
For having me on.
You'll say really appreciate it, mate. Top man. Thank you. Right. Let's have a look at here. Some more of these comments that are coming through. Terry, is Man United's legacy built on top of a sugar daddy? Maybe not. But I don't really get why that matters anymore. Chelsea sold Morata for 60 million. Get your facts straight, haters. Did they sell him for that much? I didn't know that. That's interesting. Let's see. Have a look at some of these comments here. CJ says Chelsea fire and hire, but 2 Champions Leagues in 9 years is a good return. The system works despite what others think. Well, do you know what's interesting? Let's take a look at how good a return that is. And I know that teams don't win them in that. Real Madrid are an interesting club because Real Madrid are the benchmark when it comes to European football, right? But let's just take a quick look at this. I've never really done this before, but let's take a look. We know they have 13? 13 they have? Yes. They've won 4 of them since 2013. Okay. They won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them between 1955 and 1960. So actually 9 of their 13 were won in very short periods of time. If you think about it, then they won 1 in 1966. So from 1966 until 2013, they only won it 3 times. I'm not taking away their 13 from them. It's amazing, right? But they went from 1966 until 2013, and they only won it 3 times. That's a long period of time. So to win it 2 times in 9 years is amazing. Where the likes of Real Madrid are just light years in front is they had that block of 5 in the 50s, and then they had that block of 4 in the teenies, which is just astronomical. But if you average it out, okay, from when they won their first one, not the history of their club, just from when they won their first trophy, right? So let's just work out how many years that is. I'm getting my calculator up now. So we're in 2021. Sorry, I'm so stupid. I missed out the 0. 2021 minus 19. 56. So that's over a 65-year period. Okay, so let's divide 13 divided by 65 years. I've done that the wrong way around. I don't do the extra stuff. Let's do it that way around. It's one every 5 years, you know. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So Real Madrid are the benchmark, and they on average win one every 5 years since their first victory. You're winning it one every 9 years. That's pretty good. Do you know what I mean? That would say that if Chelsea are winning it one in every 9 years, divide that by 9. I mean, that means within 65 years, you're going to have 7-ish. It's pretty good, you know. It's pretty good return. It's a pretty good return. And who knows? Sometimes you get a little boost, and you might suddenly go through a 5-year period where you win 2, maybe. And it's like you boost those numbers, but it's a pretty good return. If you think about it, like Man United won their first one in 1958. So if you think about that, you know, like Man United, it's a long time, you know, to only win 3 as a football club. 63 years from this point. So, you know, you divide that by 3. You know, we're winning one every 21 years since our first, as an example. You know, every 21 years. It's mad. So it's a good return on average. It's averages here. Again, the average can be broke. The medium is probably the best way of doing it. Taking the median difference in between each time, because it. Anyway, do me a favor and smash that like button this morning. We'll be sitting on likewise now. Only on 300 likes, 320. Let's get this past 500, please, my wonderful, wonderful people. Let's get that done right about now. Let's take a look elsewhere. Some of your comments make me laugh and make me die. We're going to get Ziad on the show next. Ziad is, of course, a Chelsea fan. Hakimi agreed personal terms reportedly coming out of Italy yesterday. Give me your thoughts, mate.
Afternoon, Terry. How's it going?
Yeah, very well, mate, very well. How about yourself?
Yeah, not bad. I think you might be surprised by this, but I'm quite annoyed with this Hakimi deal because I'm hearing a lot of different things. Of course, not all will be true, but I'm hearing Hakimi's family prefer PSG. His wife prefers France because of her career options, etc. And that PSG are offering a big money for him. I think it's 8 million or 2 million bonuses. And then, but there's also terms that he's agreed to join, and that Inter want straight cash, even though I think what we're forgetting is that they need to sell by June 30th, because that's when the financial year ends for the clubs. It's something around the line. So they have to sell by June 30th. So I think that they're a bit brave to demand 80 million or nothing. But what doesn't make me confident is that the agreement is there verbally, and that we're willing to give Inter Milan a player in return, which they might like. And of course, you said it's down for that player as well, Chelsea player, to agree to join Inter Milan. So a lot of ups and downs, which is quite putting me in the edge. Like, look, do you want to join, or are you going to be convinced by your family to go to France? And Inter Milan, stop being stubborn, because you know you need to sell. We are not club. You said yourself many times, Chelsea is not a club to piss about with when it comes to these kind of deals. We know you're in that situation. So if you're going to mess about with us, we're going to make you pay, and we're going to make you lose a lot of money. So that's my take on the Hakimi. And also just on the Leicester City signing, I think it's very, very good of Leicester City to make these kind of deals. Aston Villa, it shows that they've got targets. And so, for example, Leicester, they got out of the top 4 2 years in a row. They want to make signings to solidify top 4. So they've got aspirations, they've got targets. Aston Villa want to stay in the Premier League permanently. They don't want to be relegation at the mid-table. They want to stand point there, stay in the Premier League. So I think that's very, very nice to see as out of a big club. As a big club, you expect that, but for a club that's may not achieving as the big clubs do, I think is very good. And yeah, man, with the I'm not too keen on Varane as a Chelsea fan. I don't see where Chelsea fans are really seeing that we need to buy a centre back. I'm not really into that. So yeah, if you can have Varane who you like, is the way I see it, because I'm not really intrigued by having. Of course, he's a quality player, but it's not only a priority. It's a bit. It's quite 50 million might not be a lot, but I just don't see that we need him. We've got a lot of young centre back talents. We just let Tomori go for goodness sake for a cheap price.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my take, sorry.
I hear a lot what you're saying there. We'll let the viewers have their say on that and breaking that down. But thank you for your call, mate. Really appreciate it here on the terrace. Top man. Thank you. Breaking news in the last 10-15 minutes. Fabrizio Romano has confirmed that Hakim Çalhanoğlu, of course, from Turkey, that just fell out of the Euros, is set to join Inter Milan from AC Milan. His current contract will expire next week, and he will sign for Inter Milan until 2024. So a fairly short deal, only 3 years on that contract. Hakim refused an AC Milan contract extension bid. Medical is expected to be completed tomorrow. You notice how that transfer sped up when they went out of the tournament? So I'm saying to people, relax. The majority of these deals will start to pick up pace when teams exit or the Euros are over. It's just as simple and as straightforward as that half the time. It's not something to be overtly deeped. It isn't something to panic about. It isn't something to overtly worry about. It is what it is. That's it. It's just that. It's just that. Bear with me a second here. I'm just looking for something. I can't find it. There it is. There it is. There it is. Excuse me. Admin while streaming, difficult. Let's take a look at some more of these comments here. Stuart Barkley, that's a very weird thing. That's the biggest snake I've seen. Oh, you mean Çalhanoğlu? Listen, yeah, I mean, join local rivals. It's a madness. I mean, that's going to be, imagine that derby day is going to be flying now. CJ here says, Terry, would you take Ahmad Traore or Hakimi if you had to choose? Who would I choose? Hakimi. If I'm picking between the two of them, Hakimi, I think he's a better technical football player on the ball. Statistically better. Younger, I think. I think he's younger. I'd go with Hakimi. I think Hakimi's amazing. I still can't quite get my head around why Real Madrid allowed him to go. I'm very confused by that still. Terry, do you still believe in a fair fight? Contextualize that comment, please, Twisted. Currently, Twisted Bubba's winning the Super Chat challenge, by the way, today. His question has been the best we've had so far about explaining why Chelsea are a well-run club. So if you guys want to get a chance for your name to go into the prize draw to win a football shirt of your choice, get your Super Chat question in now. Make sure that like button is being hit for us as well, people. Very important to the terrace that you get that done. Let's have a look at some more of these comments that have come through here. Marina, chief negotiator, will get the deal done, I'm sure. Just Looking says, I hope we can get rid of some deadwood. Do you know that Danny Drinkwater is still on our books? Yeah, I did read that he is. I've heard he's on big money as well, like over 100 grand a week. And that's where I say you're a well-run club, Chelsea. But of course, you've made mistakes in the past. And, these legacy mistakes continue. And yeah, Danny Drinkwater leaving, that just helps you sign someone. The geezer's costing a lot of, it's costing you what, £5-6 million a year? Mad. Tamps says best right wing back in the world is Hakimi. I'd be intrigued to see Hakimi versus Trent in terms of both being in the Prem and both at good teams. From a creative and playmaker point of view, that would be an amazing thing to watch from afar. No doubt about that. Let's do some more of these comments. You can define it yourself as what you want. I asked you. What? I don't understand. Maybe you're talking to each other. I was like, is that aimed at me? I'm like, bruv, I didn't even read your comment, I think. I don't know what you're talking about. Terry, I'm Belgium in the sweepstake. That's true. I haven't checked who's who in the sweepstakes. But yeah, Belgium. Remember, we've got a Belgium journalist coming on tonight who's going to talk about the Lokonga deal, going to speak about Yuri Tillemans and maybe his exit away from Leicester City. That's going to come on tonight around 10 o'clock, so make sure you're tuning in for that. Jerry here says, Terry, Hakimi's speed, is it faster than Walker. I don't know if it's faster. Like Kyle Walker is rapid. Absolutely. I don't think people respect how fast he actually is. I feel like if Kyle Walker's career would never have been as good as it is if he hadn't have had that speed. You know, the speed has elevated him a level or two. There's no doubt about it. But listen, everyone who was tuned in this morning, a massive thank you to each and every single one of you for all the super chatters. Twisted Bubba, your name. Just taking a note of it here. I take notes for each show. We do and keep these. I'm up to like 38 notebooks this season. It's crazy. Twisted Bubba, your name is going to go into the draw. Best super chat of the show today. A massive thank you to you. D1 and Ginger Fury, your shirts have arrived according to the information I've been sent by the couriers. So go and enjoy them. Make sure you post some pictures and show everyone that you got them. We always reward our competition winners here. We always follow through what we promise and get those things done. But until later on today, everybody, we'll speak to you all again soon. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you in a bit.